Hello, I am Nathan, and this is Thunder Up Talk. And today I've got my very, very good friend Alex. Alex, what's up, man?
Dude, it's Friday. It's a good day. It's a little overcast in OKC, but it's good golfing day or a good sports watching day.
That is true. That is true. All right, so I'm just gonna get straight to it. I want to talk about J-Dub.
Mhm. Yeah.
Obviously, him getting hurt. But he was so good for us. He may have been our best player in
Yeah.
the first two games of the series.
Yeah.
I wrote down some stats. So he was 61.5% from the field.
Mm,
Wow. Not true
mm.
shooting percentage. That was his shooting percentage. He was shooting 50% from three. And, he was back to averaging in the 20s. He was at 20.5 points per game. And of course, it would have been higher had he not gone out in the third quarter.
Right. Yeah.
So he was phenomenal. And not only that, I mean, he was playing in spectacular defense. He
Yep.
looked sharp. He looked quick. I mean, he was like beating guys to the rim. I mean, he looked phenomenal. And then, of course, we get the injury and we find out that it's a grade one strain.
Right.
Um, so I just want to ask you, Alex, you were at the game for game
Mm.
two.
Yep.
What was the mood like? Did people kind of know what's going on? Did you know what was going on? I definitely did because I was on Twitter like instantly. But
Sure.
I just want your perspective on what it was like, the mood, even with us winning the game.
Yeah. So there wasn't a big response from him in the game. Like had to go to Twitter to kind of check on what even he really did when he landed, like response wise.
Sure. Yeah.
He also didn't walk to the tunnel. He went and sat on the bench. And so there's a big dude who's part of the coaching staff who came over and kind of squatted down and they were chatting. And then the coach went and sat back down and then came back and then they go into the tunnel. So it wasn't a stands up, couldn't stand up, had to get help or anything like that. It's not like he was grabbing his hamstring tight as he's walking off. Looked ginger, so it was like I didn't know if like there was need a knee or kind of something funky.
Yeah.
But also like because it wasn't not they didn't make a big show, but it wasn't a Dub shaken up, Dub gets help, Dub's got to go straight to the locker room. There wasn't a lot of like murmuring in the game either. Like people
Uh-huh.
noticed it. They were like, but it was a lot more like, oh, Dub's not on the bench. Oh, we didn't see Dub anymore. That's weird.
Hmm.
Um, not in like an ominous like rumble of whatever. Um,
Yeah.
so in the game, like he was very clearly doing incredible defense. He had that steal, that poke away on Devin Booker.
Oh, just
Um,
spectacular. Yeah.
he had that step back three, like he had the in three, like in rhythm three, but he also had a step
Mhm.
back three. That was just,
Yeah.
oh no, because he was finishing so well through contact.
Yeah.
And that's really like it was super clear that's what Phoenix was trying to do. But again, it wasn't like a contact thing. The Dub specifically, didn't like stay down, couldn't get up, couldn't walk, and so it was kind of like it was under the radar for sure.
Do you think by the end of the game, were like people talking about it, or were there murmurs of it, or is it just still kind of like we don't know what's going on?
So the buddy I was sitting with has season tickets, and the people next to him have season tickets as well, so they know him a little bit. And he was like, "Hey,
Uh-huh.
Jacob, is Dub out? Like, what was Dub on the bench?"
Yeah.
So even still, it was like it's weird he didn't come back in. Oh wait,
Yeah.
like what was the deal? So that was kind of the
And that is like the in-game experience, you can't beat it
right,
100%. But you
right.
do miss some things because, like, from my perspective, watching on TV, you know, as soon as they came back from commercial, they're showing him grabbing his left leg. So
Sure.
you immediately know he's grabbing his left hamstring,
Yeah.
and they're just talking about it for 5 minutes. And of
Right.
course, you know,
Doris.
I'm already stressing out about Shay's hand, and we get past that, and then we have
Right.
this.
Which never
Um,
which never like in game looked or was discussed ever.
yeah,
Like
yeah. So this is my question. What do you think his timeline will look like, in your opinion? And then on top of that, how would you handle it? say you are in charge, you're Sam Presti and the coaching staff, how would you handle this particular injury?
I think there's a couple things that I think you and I will be in agreement on.
Okay.
That we need him for the Western Conference Finals, regardless of the opponent. And
Yeah.
he'd be very, very useful, but I don't think I'd use the word vital for this round or probably next round.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm looking at, again, depending how Lakers Rockets go, even if both of us sweep. If Lakers sweep, if we sweep. And so that's still, 2-3 games in between each game. That's a week before both of those are done.
Yeah.
And so if it's a 2-week resting period of like, hey, after 1 week, he can kind of be okay. What I would never do is say he needs to play against either LA or Houston.
Yeah.
So I am way more comfortable with him coming back. Western Conference Final starts on the 20th of May. And so like that, as of today, today's April 24th. And so like, I am super comfortable with that being when he comes back.
Yeah.
I would love for him because they've got the days in between ideally to make sure he's like still in rhythm. That's one of the things that sucks is like the starters were really getting in rhythm. And
Yeah.
so that will be kind of the annoyance. I would not expect him back until probably game 2, maybe game 3 of the next series. I wouldn't be surprised if it's game 5 in the next series. So we don't sweep just because the Lakers have looked bad and Houston has looked bad. So again, home or take if we don't sweep. Game 5. So I think he'll have plenty of time where we take care of business with Phoenix. And, we've got whenever the next series starts, which may be 8 days from now, 9 days from now, 10
It'd be
days.
a week. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that is the bummer. We were looking so good together as a unit. Dub was looking like old Dub. And it's just a tough one. I'm with you. Just big picture, I think if we can do whatever we can to not play him until the Western Conference Finals, that's great. With this caveat, say he is fine, because I think he will probably be playable at some point in the second series.
Sure.
I do not want to play him if we can get by with it. If
Yeah.
things start getting a little murky, where I would start considering it is by some miracle. And I know I shouldn't talk like this as a fan, but we start to get to a game 6 and things are a little dicey and Dub really is okay, then I go, okay. But I don't first 2 games of the series against LA, I'm just gonna call what it is. We're gonna be playing the Lakers.
Sure.
I don't want to hear any talk about him playing in the first 2, probably 3 games at all in this series in the second series against the Lakers.
So I looked it up while you were talking.
Yeah.
2026 Western Conference semifinals are scheduled to begin on May 4.
Okay.
That's 10 days from now that they would start.
Okay.
And I think like that's again, depending on how grade 1, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And that again, depending on how many days off we have, if it's 2 days, if it's 1 day, if it's whatever, that puts us into game 3 or 4, and it will have been 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, looking at 3 weeks, game 5, something like that.
Okay. Yeah. And I mean, obviously we know the Thunder have shown over and over and over they're going to be conservative, which has always, I think, been good for the organization. And also there's always the rust versus rest, thing. And I think rest is always the way to go, especially with this team. We really haven't shown too many rusty games in playoffs. So, all right. So Dub is out. We have to accept that. Who is going to start in place of Dub, or who do you think Mark will start, and who do you think should? It might be the same answer. It might be different.
So I think I,
And I think there's only one right answer. I'm just gonna be straight up.
yeah, I think it should be AJ.
Yeah.
Unless he wants to keep AJ, Kaysen, and Caruso to make demons out of the second unit.
Hmm.
If he sees a specific thing that he wants to exploit game three with the second unit, but I mean, there's enough people possibly coming back for Phoenix that I'm not sure he even cares about that. I'm sure he thinks about it, but won't change his mind because of it.
Yeah.
I expect it to be AJ. Aaron Wiggins hasn't seen the court, and I don't
Yeah.
expect him.
I'd be
Um,
shocked.
I think Alex Caruso would be an interesting choice. I don't think he does that either. And so I think for Lou, it would be Kaysen. And I think for Dub, it is AJ.
And I do get that argument because, our top three ball handlers for sure, Shea, Dub, and AJ.
Mhm.
So I do get that idea that you probably want one on the court the majority of the time,
Right.
especially in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And it does complicate things for sure when they're both starting at the same time. But I do, I'm just curious to see if Mark does this thing where AJ starts, but he's the first one off the bench.
Yep. Yep.
Um, 6,
Mhm.
7-ish minutes
They
into
play
the
the
first
first
quarter,
quarter.
then they still bring him back to start that second unit again.
Yeah.
That's how I'd handle it, and I kind of wouldn't be shocked if that's kind of how they do it.
Yeah. One of the things that I was talking again to my buddy when we went was like, I really enjoyed how Dub and AJ didn't have an assignment of who dribbled the ball down when they were both on the court at the same
It
time.
didn't matter. Yeah,
And a lot of times, even when one would dribble, they'd get into an action and hand off to the other one, kind of let the defense, get a little scrambled. Um, I really feel like they're going to lean on him as the secondary ball handler, and
yeah,
so I expect him to start. But exactly what you said. I think Shea will play 10 minutes, if not all 12 of the first quarter, and just kind of see what goes from there. But I expect he or Shea to be on the court at all times, and maybe 4 minutes of Kaysen and Caruso sharing
sure.
our duties at some point.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
really, what I really want to see is if we can be super intentional on iHeart and Joe and trying to get them a couple of looks with him at the nail or him at the top of the key and just
Yeah.
seeing what that can look like.
Hmm.
I know iHeart's got like 20 to 25 minutes a game. And 2 nights ago, he got in early foul trouble. And so what are you going to do? But
Yeah.
really want to see if there's even a lighthearted version of that for the first round only. I don't expect to see a lot of it in the second round. Maybe, I don't know. But like
Sure.
how Joe shoots is one of our big question marks. And so
Hmm.
when it's not a blowout, how does it look? We couldn't make a bucket in the fourth quarter. And
Yeah.
it was just
Yeah.
super dumb. But anywho, I
And
think
that's
it'll
a
be
great transition. So I'm going to touch on that a little bit here in a second. Let's go to the Phoenix series. So we're up 2-0. Are we going to beat them in 4 or 5? That's the question. What do you think?
I think we beat him in 5.
Okay. Has that changed since the Dub injury for you?
Yeah. I
Okay.
think Dub's healthy, Shea, Dub, Chet make light work of them, and we have one game that's a blowout and one game that's close in
Okay.
Phoenix. I think we might have two closer-ish games, and by that I mean single digits, which is kind of
Sure.
funny. But
Yeah.
if we have a cold shooting game again, it's just are they going to have somebody back? Mark Williams isn't going to change the series for him, but he might change a game. And if he and Ted Cruz light um, are
Grayson Allen, right? Because they
yeah,
look, yeah, it's pretty
if
crazy.
he's in and he can shoot even a little bit, if the right combination of guys have a good enough game, they keep it close and maybe stumble into one. So I think Dub as a defensive unit and how fluid he looks as a 3-level scorer was such a pressure valve for the Thunder.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could essentially have Shea units and then you could have AJ and Dub units, which is what I've dreamed of all season. And it was
Yeah.
just it was relentless. And that's when the lead got back within, 15, 12, 10, something like that is when Dub went out. They couldn't do that.
And I think we might lose game 3 because I'm kind of thinking 5,
Sure.
and we get ticked off, we rally, win game 4, and then take care of business at home. That's kind of my prediction, I think.
Yeah, I expect this like the first half of game 3 to just be a lot of like getting punched in the mouth.
Yeah, yeah, for
Wow, it's
sure.
going to be bonkers. It's going to be
They're going to
awesome.
be yelling free throws and
Really excited. Yeah, really excited to see that environment. It's going to be fantastic.
yeah, it'll be great. It really will. So, okay, what has been your biggest? It's only 2 games, but I want to hear the biggest positive from the Thunder so far. Like you can say anything, but what's been the biggest thing that stood out to you in these first 2 games?
You and I talked about how last year their shooting was abysmal and won it on defense.
Yeah,
2.0.
yeah,
Like defense that won us a championship is still there. Um, one of the reasons why AJ I think can easily start is Mark did not change the defensive lineup when Dub went out and AJ was
Mhm.
the starters are playing in the closing role. They switched everything.
Yeah,
Was well the lineup I wanted to see, which was Shea, Dub, Chet, AJ, and Caruso, which was
Mhm.
they had it for like 45 seconds of game time. Um, but there's not a like when Isaiah Joe's out there, they clearly shift on him.
Yeah,
And to have it to where AJ is a net positive defender when Booker gets switched onto him
yeah,
is ridiculous.
it is. Yeah,
So I think the defense that's there um, is one that we can hang our hats on
yeah.
90% of the time.
Well, and we just have this ability to turn it on. I mean,
Yeah,
like you mentioned earlier, J Dub was spectacular on defense as well. Like that can't be overstated. Like how
right.
like he just
He is
picked
an
the dude's
all
pocket
NBA
and
player, straight up.
yes.
Yeah,
Same with Caruso, like in the playoffs. It's just
yeah,
like
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
dude
yeah, yeah.
gets in
He's that
there.
guy.
He stole like an inbounds pass just because he ran really hard. It
Yeah,
scrambled the ball and he passed to Shea. I think that was in the first game for an easy layup.
yeah.
It's just
Did
like
they make anything? There was a play where Jalen Green had a steal and like an easy bucket, and AJ ran back and just played some good defense and then
yeah.
the ball back. Did they do anything with that on the TV, or was it just kind of oh good hustle?
Was that a different play from when Chet also ran back, or was that there's
It was a
also a
different
fast
play.
break? Okay, I
So
remember the Chet one. I don't remember the
like
AJ one off the top of
somebody
my head.
came back, but the only pressure that was applied to Jalen Green, and it was just because AJ was like, "No, I'm going to pressure it." It could have been a like if he hadn't have run back, no one would have cared,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
but he did. And like he had two, he had that, and he had Dylan Brooks playing his stupid game of whatever is fine, whatever, I don't
yeah,
care. But he was, Shade kind of fallen down or done something. Dylan was kind of being a ding dong, and they just came over and like not shoved him, but like, hey man, move so I can get
yeah,
my
yeah, yeah,
and just is that guy, does not care, not going to be
yeah.
bothered by it. And like that is our identity.
Yep.
Combined with Shea's playmaking, which is ridiculous. He
Yeah.
probably had 15 supposed to be assist, whatever the technical term.
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I saw that.
Like he
Yeah,
was
he's
throwing bullets and nobody could hit anything. And it was just like,
yep,
well, is what it is. But like if we make half of those, we win by 25 in the fourth quarter and
for
everything
sure.
clear the benches.
Yeah.
And that's been kind of 1A, 1B for me.
And yeah, I feel like that too. Because part of me is like, Shay, just go up and shoot your mid range
Yeah.
or like go to
Yeah.
the rim a
Yeah.
little bit. And
Yeah.
to me, like that is Shay actively trying to get his team involved to see
Yeah.
what is going on in the game, in the series, in the playoffs.
Right.
It really just feels like a test run to me with what
Yeah.
Shay's doing.
Yeah.
And I think some of that will tighten up the further we
Sure.
get on to the
Yeah.
finals. If guys aren't hitting shots, like Shay, put the mid range up. I don't care if you miss 5 in a row.
And
But
and say what you want, like Ludort's been that guy first couple games.
oh,
Like
yeah, for sure.
regular
Yeah.
season, post game,
Okay.
postseason door. Big fan.
I know it's playoffs. It's a whole new season, and Lou Dort knows it. Um, aside from the J Dub injury,
Mhm.
what has been your biggest concern or negative for this Thunder team?
Um, I I'm curious to see, and I think curious is the word, not concerned. I'm
Sure. Yeah.
curious to see what they can get to work offensively in
Hmm.
non-Shea minutes.
Yeah.
Because and honestly, I think last year it was Dub being the primary or the secondary ball handler, and this year it's going to be. I'm really hoping that you utilize AJ and Eihart and Isaiah Joe,
Hmm.
probably with Caruso and maybe Kaysen. I don't know, something. Um,
Yeah.
but having some real, like, not just the one, hey, here's AJ, let's go create and see if he can drive to the lane and maybe dish or maybe get a bucket. But how can we have a functioning offense that isn't just Shea? Because I think Shea being the offense makes us contenders. That's great. Having that
Yeah.
secondary outlet is really, really important. And I think we have the chance to do that.
Yeah. And like getting back, like you mentioned, getting back, and I'll go ahead and say mine. Just like the shooting, like is it drying up a
Yeah.
little bit? The
Yep.
Isaiah Joe 3-point shooting is like
Right.
saw this last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
Like, come on, dude. And I'm not too scared yet. Like, it
Right.
can come back. Jay Will, which we know he can be hot and cold for sure.
Sure.
He was
Yeah.
the hottest shooter at the end of the regular season this year.
Right.
Like, could
Right.
not miss.
Right.
And now he's like made one or two.
Sure.
But yeah, I'm with you. Like, let's just see what we can do with iHeart, get that screen action going with some of those shooters, in particular Isaiah Joe. Um, because that helps so much with if we have any of those guys shooting an average percent from three,
Yeah.
um, nobody can hang with this.
I'd
That's
like
all I
I'd
got.
like the combination of AJ Chet and Isaiah Joe to have a combined like 20-25 attempts from.
Yeah.
I want Chet to shoot the ball.
Yes.
I think you
Yeah.
will. I think you will.
Yeah. Yeah. And man, I we have to talk about Chet for just a second. I don't know if I said my positive. You said the defense. Chet has been spectacular too. Like I still feel like J-Dub has been the best player for the
Mhm.
first two.
Right.
And I mean, nothing against Shea. He's going to end up being the guy by the end of playoffs. But like Chet is
Yep.
dominating on
Yep.
defense.
Yep.
He had 4 blocks in like 1 quarter. He came,
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4. He came out
Good
of
forward.
nowhere on like two different plays, just swatted that stuff.
Yep.
And it was just like, what just happened?
Yep.
If it were not for Wemby and the NBA's narrative to really talk about this alien freak of a 7'4" guy,
Sure.
which is fine, like he is incredible, but
White
Chet is
Matumbo.
so underrated. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
what?
White Matumbo. Just like, no way. Get out.
Yeah, yeah. And having a guy like Chet who is healthy this year, I think
Uh, yeah.
I think offensively, like you said, it's going to be even better than last year. So yeah, it's just great. All right, Alex, you ready to play a game?
Yeah. I
All
do.
right, let's play a game. So I was just curious. I know we're 2 games into the playoffs, so this might skew things a little bit, but I am generally just kind of curious of how the 8-man rotation changes from last year to this year in the playoffs.
Sure.
And generally the 8-man rotation is kind of the standard. That's what's talked about in the playoffs. The
Sure.
Thunder, we're a little different. We'll go 10, 11 guys deep
Right.
in the first few rounds. That's just how we are. We're deep. That's how Mark does it. But for the sake of this game, we're going to stick with the top 8 in minutes per game. Okay. So I want you to give me the top 8 guys in order from last year's playoffs. The
Oh man.
first few will be easy,
Okay.
obviously. Okay.
I'm gonna go Shea, Dub, Chet, Caruso.
Okay. You're close. Caruso's 5. So
Okay.
there's one guy above AC.
Dort.
Dort. Yep. He's 4.
Okay.
Then 6.
Kaysen.
Close. Kaysen 7.
I heart.
I heart 6. Yep. And then who is 8?
Wiggins.
Wiggs. Yep. So, dude, I give you 100%.
Sweet.
Well, like a 90. You
Yeah, whatever.
but no, you did great. So I was just curious. I'm not going to make you guess, but like, okay, how different was that from the regular season? The regular season is a little wonky, but
Last year or this
still
year?
of this year
Okay,
because new team
sure.
is regular season going to be a little similar
Right.
to the postseason this year. Shea's one, of course. Chet is
Oh,
two, but that's because of Dub's
yeah.
injury. Then Dub. Who is still four? I was actually shocked by this.
Lou?
Lou Dort was still four in minutes per game. And then Kaysen, AJ. So that's going to be the big difference. AJ was six in minutes per game this regular season. iHeart was still seven. And oddly enough, Wiggins was eight.
Okay.
And Isaiah Joe was still at nine.
Hmm.
So that was interesting. With that being said, what do you think the playoff rotation top eight will look like in the playoffs this year?
It will be so um
Because what complicates it is you're
okay.
kind of at the end of it, you'll see you're kind of stuck
Yeah.
with
So like
AC and Joe or
yeah, well
Kaysen.
yeah, so like there's like the first two rounds versus like what I think happens in the Western Conference
But
Finals.
this is overall. So that's the hard part. You're just,
You're
yeah, I
done.
know, I
Uh,
know.
Give me am I including Dub in this?
Yeah, yeah.
So big
He's going
three.
to come back. He's going to be great. So we
Big
include
three gonna
Dub.
big three.
Yep,
Um Shea, Dub Jet.
yep.
Uh I think it will be Dort. Nope. I think it will be AJ and then Dort and then Kaysen.
Okay. So I disagree with you a little bit. And who cares? Well, we'll talk about this later. But Dort, I think will still be four because I'm kind of projecting like if Luka's back for the Lakers, he'll be on him almost minute per minute or pretty
Okay.
dang close to it. If he's back, who knows?
Sure.
Then that would leave us with like the Spurs potentially. He's going to be on Castle all
Mhm.
the stinking time. And then Celtics is who I'm guessing he's going to be meshed up with Jaylen Brown probably the
Yeah.
majority of the time.
Oh, dude, Tatum and Dub is gonna be so fun.
Dude, yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
yeah.
All right.
So, but like, who cares really? I,
Sure.
the point of this really is I think the difference is that basically 4 through 7 are going to be separated by like a minute or two per game. So like it really doesn't matter.
Right.
But so yeah, so you basically went AJ, Dort, Queso. So
I yeah.
that's
I
yeah.
think AJ plays more than Dort for the next 5 games,
Hmm.
and I think it's by five or
That
six.
will help. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I think, especially in games that are close. The blowouts are dumb, so they're going to be nuts. But I think in
Yeah.
games that they're close, I think Dort, Kaysen, and Caruso are going to play some of the minutes, and in games that are close, Caruso is going to play more than Kaysen or Dort.
Okay. All right. So
I think they are way more likely to close with Caruso and AJ on the floor than they are with Dort.
I agree with that
So
100%.
I think that cuts in a little bit of what Dort has is like probably 20 to 22 when last season was probably 28 to 30 a game guaranteed. I think it's
Yeah.
different. Um, and so I think because of that, he and AJ are kind of like one or 4A, 4B, but
Yeah.
slicing hairs. And here's the fun part for me.
Yeah.
I think it was Alex Spears who was talking about like the guys on our team that if they got all NBA, no one would bat an eye. And it's Caruso, Wallace, Dort, Dub, and Chet.
Yeah.
And so two of our big three, and he goes, SGA, who's a great help defender,
Yeah.
and somebody else, Hartenstein, who's a top half
He's
defensive.
still a B
Uh,
defender, like
right.
really good. Yeah.
But our starting five with Dub, our first three off the bench are all NBA caliber, and AJ.
Yeah. Yeah. It's insane.
We were laughing at Jalen Green, who called for a switch and got off of Casey Wallace onto Alex Caruso, and it was just like,
Thank you, Jalen Green.
dude, just like,
Oh man.
yeah, yeah.
All right. So you did six. I'd go I Heart seven just
Hmm.
because. And
Yep.
then that leaves
I think it'll be Jay Will.
Joe or
I think it'll be Jay Will.
oh, Jay Will. Okay.
I think they'll use
And
him, especially against like San Antonio.
yeah,
It might go smaller double big with he and Chet
sure.
a little bit.
Yeah,
I don't like him on the court by himself as the big at all. When Wembanyama's on the court, I don't think that'll ever happen.
yeah,
Maybe it's for a minute, but I'd rather Kenrich just beat him up.
sure. Yeah,
But they
yeah,
won't do that either. Kenrich won't play. But
yeah.
it'll be dub a lot of dub on
Hmm.
or whatever. So anyway,
Yeah, that's
I
going to
think
be fun too.
I think Jay will sneakily get enough. Because iHeart will probably get in a little bit of foul trouble. They'll use
Yeah, no,
a
we
little
saw it
bit.
last year. Like Jay Will was really important in those
Yep.
minutes that he did play. So, um, all right, we are running out of time. Before we go, is there anything you would like to say?
I want to actively remember that these are the good old days.
Dude, yes.
Like Shea has been a top three MVP vote getter for 4 straight seasons.
Yeah, yeah.
And we are about to have top two defender in the league as a possible third option who's a 16 and 8 and 3 blocks kind of guy in Chet.
Hmm.
And Dub, for anybody who speaks Dub slander, can just get wrecked. And so
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
those are the three
yeah.
pillars that we'll have, and we'll have another probably two great players for
Yep.
Oklahoma, great players um, that we get to build on as we start drafting. And
Yeah,
so, yes, people will get traded, people will get shipped. Dort this offseason, Caruso by the trade deadline next season. That's my official guess.
sure. Yeah.
But like, this is especially if Wembanyama becomes who he could. Like that could be a great rivalry with
Oh
Shane.
man. I hope it does.
Right, and like Ant
Yeah.
continuing to do his thing. Luca probably gets a sidekick, whatever that looks like. Um,
Yep.
like recognizing because it was so exciting the first time. Like we went to the finals and it was this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but like also just like at the game on Wednesday, just kind of stood. Was kind of like this is awesome. Like this is
Yeah. Yeah.
we're the best team in the NBA, and everybody knows it. And
And
it was
that
like,
should be
it's so
the
fun.
attitude.
It's
Yeah.
so fun.
And also, Thunder fans, I'm just going to throw this out there. Just accept the free throw, fouling, hate. They only hate us because they ain't us. I mean, that's literally all it comes down to.
Yep.
If
Yep.
we are losing, they wouldn't care. So, all right. Well, that's all I've got for today, Alex. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you all next time. Thunder up.
Thunder up.